President Muhammadu Buhari challenges on the revitalization of the mining sector for economic growth. Plus, international community thumbs up for Nigeria's fiscal policies in reviving the strength of the economy. Plus, National Human Rights Commission flags of investigation of complaints on electoral violence. There's more on today's Panorama with me, Ogwa Vivian Ungedibia. President Muhammadu Buhari has challenged the Ministry of Mines and Steel Development to redouble efforts at revitalizing the sector for economic growth and development, with the major breakthroughs in the government's drive in relaunching its promises. At an audience with the minister, Dr. Kayode Fayemi, the president expressed delight over the approval of $150 million by the World Bank in support of the mining sector. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports.
The interactive meeting held behind closed doors was an opportunity by the Minister of Mines and Steel Development, Dr. Kayode Fayemi, to bring President Muhammadu Buhari up to speed on recent developments in the nation's mining sector. Topmost on the agenda was the recent approval of an attractive concessional loan of $150 million by the World Bank towards establishing a strong foundation for mining sector development in Nigeria.
Part of this money is going to assist with geological data. It's also going to contribute to our organizing the informal sector into a formal sector, provide them some access to funding, and also help them with technological equipment for the artisanal miners. It is also going to help us. There are many miners that have done extensive exploration, but to move to production has been a challenge. So for those who are crossing over from exploration to exploitation and to actual mining, we believe that giving them a leg up, some assistance would help boost the industry.
For President Muhammadu Buhari, mining sector is critical to Nigeria's economic diversification enterprise, and therefore the approval of 30 billion naira intervention fund for the sector, first of its kind in the country.
The sense I get is that is clearly positively encouraged that we are taking the necessary steps in the sector, but he also understands that mining is not that kind of quick win sector. Mining is long term. The president is fully aware of that. He just wants us to set up the foundation and the parameters in order for us to return mining to what it used to be, even better, in the 60s and 70s.
The Minister of Niger Delta Affairs, Usani Uguru Usani, also briefed the president on the activities of his ministry aimed at tackling the challenges of infrastructure in the Niger Delta region, on which he said significant progress has been achieved.
Some health centers will soon be ready. Some classroom blocks are being painted now, and equipment supplies to some of these facilities in education and health infrastructure are ready. We are paying this as compliments to the major ones that are ongoing, like the East-West Road, the jetties. And by the administration's policy of not abandoning any project, whatever we have got, as of today, we have based on what releases we have got. And we have channeled much of this to ongoing mega projects in the region.
Records show that before the Buhari administration came on board, the Ministry of Niger Delta Affairs did not commission any major development project in the area. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
Well, the ongoing effort of the federal government to improve fiscal policies geared towards reviving the strength of the economy has been described as a positive step by the International Monetary Fund. Answering questions on the fiscal monitor, the fund's team of experts say an improved tax system and buffers remains critical for economic growth recovery plan. Details with Leah Katung Babatunde.
Nations around the globe have in recent time been grappling with shrinking resources, especially in commodity export-dependent nations. For Nigeria, it's further exacerbated by the fall in global oil prices, which is more than half the resources of government. Now, IMF's fiscal monitor is focused on achieving more with less and cheers the Nigerian government for planning to do exactly just that through the Economic Recovery Group Plan.
Over the past year, the ratio of interest payments to tax revenue has doubled to 66% in Nigeria.
For sub-Saharan Africa, improving the tax system and building stronger institutions for more viable economic environment is crucial.
There's the need for fiscal consolidation, particularly growth-friendly and emphasizing domestic revenue mobilization through both base expansion and improved tax administration and improved spending efficiency.
The global lender calls for more inclusive growth propelled by greater fiscal policy roles, lowering of public debt, as well as a shift in fiscal policy to match the major global economic transformations that include a productivity slowdown, technological change, and global economic integration. And from the IMF's headquarters, I'm Lekatung Babatunde, NTA News.
Well, forming a common front by African countries to facilitate maritime trade is key to achieving regional economic prosperity, which is the dream of the founding fathers of the African Union. Nigeria's Vice President Yemi Osinbajo said this at the 3rd Association of African Maritime Administrators Annual Conference in Abuja. Vice President Osinbajo, on behalf of President Muhammadu Buhari, tasked participants to combat illicit activities such as oil bunkering and sea piracy. State House correspondent Jide Onifade reports.
Oceans and seas are deep and wide, and so are the challenges in the usage and management of what stakeholders. These challenges are what participants at this conference, made up of regulators, policy implementers, and stakeholders of Africa's maritime space, would be addressing. For Nigeria, the importance of maritime services and administration cannot be overemphasized.
The measures that we're putting in place are designed to improve the efficiency of our ports and to enable quick turnaround time of vessels. Technology is also being deployed to make our port operations more transparent and effective in support of economic growth.
And for the African Maritime Administrators, Vice President Osinbajo calls for a renewed focus.
That you must ensure a coherent and collaborative continental response to the challenges facing our maritime space. This will require cooperation amongst our states and agencies and with other segments of society, including the private sector. It will also entail focusing on human capacity development, including strengthening the Coast Guard function to police our waterways.
To further express Nigeria's commitment, a number of legislations have been passed towards improving the maritime services.
We must intensify efforts to promote intra-African trade in fisheries. Statistics also show that pan-African fish trade is worth about 20 billion euros.
For us in Nigeria, the objectives of a vibrant Nigerian maritime industry cannot be overemphasized. This is why we are once again within a cocktail of legislative intervention. We have rolled out to revitalize the Nigerian transport sector and are looking at more ways to improve the effectiveness of the Nigerian maritime industry.
A number of concerns were raised which called for a reawakening in the sector.
Regrettable that despite Africa's enormous maritime endowment, we remain susceptible to a raft of challenges. These include insignificant share of cargo, low tonnage, piracy, sea robbery, undeclared and unregulated fishing, and environmental degradation.
We have a collective responsibility to promote new awareness and appreciation of the inevitable role maritime transport and the blue economy can play as an enabler of the economic development of our continent.
The Abuja Conference of the Association of African Maritime Administrators is hoped to be the beginning of concerted cooperative and collaborative efforts at tackling Africa's maritime administration's challenges as well as tapping into limitless opportunities. In Abuja, Jide Onifate, NTA News. NTA News.
The Buhari Media Support Group has described the action taken by President Muhammadu Buhari to address the discovery of about 13 billion naira in a flat on Osborne Road, Ikoyi, Lagos, as a proof with the issue of corruption in the country. A statement jointly signed by its chairman, Austin Brimo, and Secretary Cassidy Madueke indicates that the action, which includes the suspension of the Director General of National Intelligence Agency, Ambassador Ayoke, based on allegations that the money recovered by the EFCC was purportedly kept by the agency, has proven President Buhari's statement when he took his oath of office that he is for nobody but for everybody. It notes that the suspension would lead to a thorough investigation of the allegations, just as it would lend credence to the transparent war of the federal government against corruption. The Buhari Media Support also stressed that the immediate suspension of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Babachi David Lawal, based on allegations of violating the law and abuse of due process in the award of contracts for the Presidential Initiative on Northeast, is a step in the right direction. Moving on, Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed says African ministers of culture and tourism will rally support to have an African succeed the current UNWTO Secretary General Taleb Rifai, whose tenure will come to an end this year. Anthony Forson reports that Nigeria's minister bared his mind in Addis Ababa.
Walter Nzembi is Zimbabwe's Minister of Tourism and Hospitality and the current chairman of the Africa Commission. He is one of the contenders for the post of the Secretary General. At this dinner, hosted by his home country, speaker after speaker applauded his sterling quality and desirability of having him at the United Nations World Tourism Organization headquarters in Madrid. It is in line with this position that Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed said it will be in the interest of Africa.
We all believe that it's this turn of Africa to occupy this post. Of course, a lot of intensive lobbying is going on, but what I think is most important is for us to ensure that we in Africa, we do not lose the opportunity to produce the next United Nations Secretary General. For us, who are ministers from Africa, would want to ensure that an African emerges as the next Secretary General.
Walter Nzembi has been a minister in Zimbabwe since 2009. In Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, Anthony Forson, NTA News.
The federal government has inaugurated a national committee for the Continental Free Trade Area negotiations in line with plans to revamp and modernize infrastructure of the conduct and management of Nigeria's trade policy. This is in view of Africa's plan for industrialization. Mamso Damien Detti reports.
For Continental Free Trade Area Negotiations, CFTA, is coming alongside Africa's plan to industrialize the continent by 2063 to boost intra-Africa trade. Inaugurating the committee, Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment said the trade negotiations is expected to produce welfare gains and development dividends, while enabling Nigerian exporters of goods and services to secure expanded market access in other African economies.
Our aim, simply put, is to optimize local content and empower local businesses. We seek not just to take the Nigerian economy out of recession, but to put it on a path of sustained, inclusive, and diversified growth.
The 20-member committee, drawn from relevant MDAs with trade-related issues, is to spearhead negotiations on the framework for Nigeria's trade policy.
The National Consultative Forum is part of the Nigeria's national institutional arrangements, expected to articulate Nigeria's offensive and defensive.
The committee will, among other things, identify opportunities and challenges facing the country in trade with other African nations. Mamso Damien Dati, NTA News.
The National Human Rights Commission has advised Nigerians to desist from use of hate speeches and derogative statements that could heat up the polity, leading to chaos and rancor. This was at a media briefing by the Acting Executive Secretary of the Commission, Oti of Rama, to flag off investigation of complaints on the matter and electoral violence, Olajide Bello reports.
With 153 complaints received by the National Human Rights Commission on hate speeches and election violence from states in the North Central, Northeast, Northwest, Southwest, Southeast and South-South, the Commission decided to take the bull by the horn to commence investigations.
The Commission is now set to investigate these complaints. Those found substantiated will be subjected to a public hearing where alleged violators, complainants and victims will be given fair hearing.
The whole essence of this is to form a conducive climate for election campaigns, for people to be able to realize their right to vote.
The Acting Executive Secretary, Oti of Rawa, says the sole aim of the project is to deepen Nigeria's democracy and encourage election campaigns to be issue-based rather than hate speeches that can lead to election violence. Recommendations at the end of the investigation will serve as a blueprint to be adopted by the federal government to curtail hate speeches and electoral violence in Nigeria. In Abuja, Olajide Bello, NTA News.
Well, you can watch this news live online via the NTA mobile app, which you can download on your Android device at the Google Play Store or at the Apple Store if you use devices with iOS. And you're watching NTA News Panorama. We now pause for some messages. The news continues shortly.
The struggle for independence had been a long and tough one. Our founding fathers and compatriots sacrificed their comfort and even shed their blood. We cannot at this point in history afford to spirit away their sacrifices for immediate but temporary gains of today. Let us emphasize what unites and not what divides us. Working for the unity of purpose with a stronger vision for a better tomorrow. NTA, growing with the nation.
Together, no matter where you come from, no matter your religion, we are one. Let's live together. Let's stop fighting each other. Let us live as one. It doesn't matter where you come from, your tribe or religion, man, woman or child. It doesn't matter who you are. Put Nigeria first. No matter where you come from, no matter your religion, we are one. Let's live together.
How can we develop when we're always in crisis? Families have become refugees in their country. No matter our differences, show some understanding.
No matter where you come from, no matter your religion, we are one. Let's live together.
Nigeria, the only country we can train with remarkable potentials to excel. Let us believe in ourselves and change our attitude for the sake of our country and generations unborn. Let us revive our cultural values, which are our essence as a nation. Let us renew the spirit of patriotism and hope in our dear country. Do not take or give bribe. Be punctual always. No more African time. We can't expect to be global citizens and operate on African time. Join the queue. Insist that people are attended to on a first-come basis, no matter who they are or where they come from.
Nigeria, good people, great nation.
Good to have you. Stay tuned. Media professionals are unanimous that the role of the media is central to promoting peace and countering terrorism in the country. This was revealed at a one-day roundtable on role of media in reporting peace-building processes and counter-terrorism narrative in Nigeria, organized by National Orientation Agency in Abuja. Musa Abubakar has details.
The roundtable created an avenue to reflect on the return of peace to the Northeast, taking cognizance of the role of the media to counter terrorism through information dissemination.
the kind of reporting that was being made when the insurgency was at its peak, be reflectively different now that peace is gradually returning to the security challenged community of the Northeast.
Some media executives, which includes the Executive Director, News Mohammed Labbo, who represented the Director General of the NTA, emphasized on the need for the media to inform and educate people at the grassroots.
The Nigerian Television Authority has always placed great premium at ensuring that the numerous successes of the Nigerian armed forces in combating terrorism in the Northeast and insecurity in other parts of the country are adequately reported, with a view to bolstering their determination, courage, and commitment towards securing our fatherland.
We owe a responsibility to people in northeastern Nigeria, especially those that are going back to areas that have been liberated, to make sure that they go back well informed of the conditions that are there.
In another development, the NOAA Director General, Garba Abari, said the agency is collaborating with the Nigeria Center for Disease Control to enlighten the public on preventive measures against cerebrospinal meningitis.
A defined narrative and proactive effort to make the society safer is expected to resonate among stakeholders as peace and security remains a recipe for development. In Abuja, I am Musa Abubakar, NTA News.
Well, Nigeria will continue to vigorously develop quality infrastructure and enhance competitiveness of products and services through the recognition of excellence. Director General of the National Productivity Center, Dr. Kashim Ako, stated this at the launch of the maiden Nigerian National Quality Awards. Abdullahi Suleiman Iyaji reports.
Attracting global attention and patronage for Nigerian goods is key to government's drive towards growing the economy. Hence the birth of the first ever National Quality Award by international development partners and the National Quality Council, a move which seeks to boost consumer confidence and ensure compliance of manufacturers to acceptable standards.
It's in line with the objective of National Quality Infrastructure Project to develop massive quality infrastructure in Nigeria. The essence is to create awareness of quality and its contribution to consumers' confidence.
We want to do this because it's important that the region boosts its ability to meet quality, safety, environmental standards. Why? Because this is what is demanded by the market.
This quality control can take the economy of this country of ours, Nigeria, to a greater height.
Basically, we are developing the missing institutions in the country.
The National Quality Award system is in line with ECOWAS-approved criteria adopted at the 71st Ordinary Session of the ECOWAS Council of Ministers in December 2013. In Abuja, Abdullahi Suleiman Iyaji, NTA News.
Let's talk sports now. Team Nigeria is set to compete in 2017 World Relays in the Bahamas. And Juventus and Monaco reach UEFA Champions League semi-finals. Tamara Ebiwe brings us this and more on Sports Update.